first off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessor, Transmitting masters, lecturers, everyone here today for this opportunity to continue talking about this topic. Okay, so last time we were talking about the story about Imelda, where the Virgin Mary kind of helped, was guiding her, I guess, helping her, encouraging her to go on this path of Tao. Now, there was a little story there where she was talking to, she was communicating with her sister, who's had died earlier, but she kind of works at the gates of heaven, right? Where this soul, came and wanted to enter to heaven, and then, but because he had committed some serious sins, he didn't, cultivate, obviously, and didn't go to a temple or anything like that. Didn't really have any merits. Okay, so he wasn't allowed in. I just wanted to comment on that. You think, well, a person who receives a Tao, they shouldn't be, someone who murders or commits some serious crimes or sins like that. But okay, so yeah, that's the thing that I keep mentioning, right? If we are propagating the Tao, we bring people to receive the Tao, we should make sure or do our best, right? This is like due diligence. We need to kind of understand their background, person's background, know them a little bit at least, know that they have a good moral character, that they're not going to, they might be willing to receive the Tao. I mean, it could be a bad person, it could be whatever. They might be willing to receive the Tao. That does not mean that they are a good person, right? And we will take some responsibility as the introducer, because we didn't do our job. We didn't do, in kind of vetting, so to speak, the person, making sure that they are worthy, to receive the Tao. I mean, so we have to be careful. We shouldn't just randomly drag people in to receive the Tao. That's not the Tao. Okay, all right. So that's something we should be aware of. Now the other thing is, okay, so yeah, once we do receive the Tao, so there's the what we call, I guess, the dragon scroll document or whatever that we burn at the altar, right, with our names on it, our merit fee. So that does go to heaven, and our names are therefore now registered in heaven. So even though we don't cultivate, we don't do anything, maybe we even killed, committed these grievous, serious sins, we don't report to the underworld where most people would. Okay, they would report to the underworld and then decided that's where we go next. But in our case, if we receive the Tao, have the three treasures, we go and report to heaven, and then it's in this, but it doesn't necessarily mean we can enter. Okay, is that we're qualified, right? Again, we have to know, of course, three treasures, but we have to have the merits, and I guess the virtue to get in. If we don't really have merits, we don't really have the virtue, and we have a lot of demerits, there are different paths that can go. I mean, there is like this, I guess they call it, maybe it's like a jail or a penitentiary in heaven as well. Maybe that's for the not so serious cases, but if it's really serious, it's still, it's still reincarnate. Okay, so again, once again, we have to make sure, that the person. So that's why when we bring people to receive the Tao, we are the introducer. Then it is our responsibility to try to encourage them, to help them to bring them to the temple, make sure that they learn and cultivate. All right, and then also for ourselves, of course, we should do that. All right. Okay, so continuing. Okay. So yeah, so the last thing was that Imelda, remember, she tried to eat meat like chicken or whatever, and she always got a stomach ache, and then she threw up or had diarrhea. So she couldn't really eat meat anymore, right? All right, so now basically, so basically she was kind of forced to become vegetarian, but she's thinking that, okay, all right, maybe I have to be vegetarian, but I'm not going to cultivate. It doesn't mean that, it's going to force her to cultivate or propagate the Tao, right? Because she still loves having fun, right? She's dancing and all that. So one day, she called a Filipino friend who also came to Taiwan to work and asked her to go out, have fun. And it happened to be that, well, so I guess she also worked for a family, right? Kind of like a nanny. But her boss kind of had some argument, I guess, with the, with her husband, right? So, and she answered the call, and, shouted abuses at her, right? So Imelda felt very angry and complained about this to Transmitter Wang, expecting that she would agree with her, right? Saying, hey, why did she? It wasn't right for her to shout abuses at me. But unexpectedly, Transmitter Wang said, right, to learn Tao, we must also learn to tolerate, right? Forgive and condone others. Sometimes they would even misunderstand, slander, and humiliate us. We must bear it and condone others and learn to love them with our merciful hearts. Okay, so that just made Imelda very angry, even more angry, right? After listening to this, she's saying, well, it's just cultivation. This is kind of pathetic, right? It's very foolish and weak behavior. And that's what I guess normal people would think. Others treat us badly and then they abuse us, but we still have to respond nicely to them and still love them. All right, she's thinking that's too difficult. Now, obviously, she didn't. Being a Catholic, she didn't really, she didn't really learn. That's what Jesus taught too. So, but anyways, she's thinking I can't do it, right? So she started over and decided that she didn't want to continue her cultivation because it's such an unpleasant thing to do. All right, so she returned the English Tao books that she borrowed from Transmitter Wang, said, I don't want to cultivate Tao anymore. I cannot do it. I can't retreat from difficulties, have to help others, treat others nicely even when we're treated badly, and have to forgive them and love them. Right, that's too difficult and I can't do it. I don't want to do this. Okay, so she's kind of like, no way. Now, although the Virgin Mary, right, and also her twin sister, both kind of saved her before, right, and told her that by receiving the Tao, she can enter the door of heaven, and that cultivating Tao is very important, right? But she could only remember what they told me when she was in difficulty, right? So when everything was going, smoothly, pretty well, she would forget again. See, this is kind of like the thing that happens to, everyone pretty much, even cultivators, that, only in times of difficulty do we start thinking about, asking whatever, heaven for help, right? Say, but then when things start going well again, then we start forgetting about those things that we're supposed to be doing, right? So that's something that, unfortunately, I guess that's human nature. Right? So she felt, she's very unfortunate that, there used to be a sister who talked about Virgin Mary all the time and always asked her to go to church. Now that she meets this transmitter who talks about Jigong Buddha all the time and asks her to go to the temple, so she feels really unlucky, right? So then, she kept her distance from Transmitter Wang, so that she didn't have to cultivate like, I guess, doing the morning and evening incense offering, things like that. So, and she deliberately had a quarrel with the transmitter and even embarrassing her, doing that on purpose. So making it very difficult for her. But it also made the transmitter kind of sad and in despair. So, but Imelda, she didn't know why. She kind of felt good about it, doing that. But she just didn't want to be bothered anymore, right? So then one day, right, she didn't do the the kato during the evening incense offering. But then later she heard that the transmitter kneeled down, in front of the altar, and was asking, like, Holy Teacher and also Virgin Mary, the Merciful, Enlightening Teacher and the Blessed Virgin Mary disciple. She's saying, this is the transmitter saying this. I am unable to help Imelda. I'm afraid that if she's impeded, this would affect others who may be impeded to receive the Tao. Right? She's a key to many others, and I don't know if I can take this responsibility solely. So I beg for the mercy of Virgin Mary and Jigong Buddha to increase my wisdom to help her. She's decided not to cultivate and propagate Tao, and I'm forced to give up on her too. So the transmitter is also very, it's kind of like, she doesn't know what else to do. Now, after 5 o'clock the next morning, there were two fairies. Now, we call them, I guess, I don't know, I translate these celestial fairies. I guess you might call them kind of like angels, I don't know. They look very alike, straight nose, golden hair, white skin, just like Europeans. This is according to Imelda. Okay, so they came to the window of Transmitter Wang and said to her in English, I know that you're worried about Imelda, that she's not willing to cultivate Tao, but don't worry. I'll help you and change her heart to become white. Okay, white, I guess, to purify her heart, right? Now, because, I guess maybe they weren't native English speakers. But anyways, so Transmitter Wang, maybe she misunderstood what they were saying and thought that that white, that the word white, she thought it was the Chinese word huai. Okay, so which means bad. Okay, so then she replies, says, "Oh no, she already decided not to cultivate Tao. Why do you then want to turn her heart into bad?" Okay, so the fairies said, no, white. But then Transmitter Wang says, okay, well, she's sleeping in the next room. Why don't you tell her to cultivate Tao? Because she doesn't listen to me at all. And then the fairies reply, no, not this time. But they said, yeah, well, yeah. So the transmitter asked them for their help, and they said, okay, we'll see. They were on their way. And before they left, then they said to the transmitter, says, don't give up on her, right? Goodbye. Okay. So a few days later, then about 2:30 in the morning, someone suddenly lifted her blanket. This is Imelda. Lifted her blanket and slowly woke her up. And she opened her eyes in shock, and she saw, well, there's this person in her room. And she's like, wow, it's this beautiful blonde fairy, right? She woke her up, and she sat in a chair. And then she was saying, oh, I have visited Jeannie, who's the transmitter, with her twin sister a few days ago, Right? It was quite annoyed. Imelda was quite annoyed when she heard, the transmitter's name, right? So she said, "Oh, hey, if you want to talk about, the transmitter, she's sleeping next door, and you can go visit her." But then the fairy said, "Hey, you think we have lots of free time? I went to see the transmitter a few days ago, and she wanted us to come to see you. But now you ask us to go see the transmitter. Are you two playing games with me? In fact, we are very busy, right? My twin sister followed Virgin Mary to save human lives in the mortal world. In fact, it's Virgin Mary who asked me to come to speak to you." Okay. So, seeing that, she thought, well, the fairy kind of seemed to be very earnest, sincere. And so, so then Imelda says, "Okay, so the transmitter, she's a woman of, the fairy says, the transmitter is a woman of your eminence, okay, someone that is deserving of your respect, right? So you have to listen to her. You should not be angry at her. She will always be by your side to help you when you face difficulties. You have to follow her to learn the Tao, cultivate Tao, and propagate Tao." So Imelda kind of nodded and I promised her she would do that. And okay, so and then I don't know. Before she left, Imelda just because there was going to be like a Tao, I guess, a Tao receiving ceremony after, and there's on Christmas Day, I guess, at the temple. There was a Christmas party, and then she wanted to invite the Virgin Mary, her, and the fairies to go there and show them, right? Show themselves to the people at the temple, right? After they saw you, then they will believe me. Otherwise, if they didn't see you, then they will think I'm talking nonsense, right? But then the fairy says, "Well, you have always asked for the impossible. Everyone has their own causes or affinities. We can't do that, right? And we are also very busy. Virgin Mary, your sister, is also busy. We don't have time. You have to join every activity at the temple. Don't just want us to do something impossible. Do you understand?" And Imelda says, "Okay, I understand," right? So since then, she told Transmitter Wang that, yeah, okay, so she wanted to learn the Tao. So yeah, so even though these, I don't know, Imelda has this special, Imelda has this special affinity to have, the Virgin Mary and these, I guess, these fairies, and even her deceased sister come to talk to her. This is not something that everyone, that happens to everyone, right? Obviously, I mean, that's there's some special affinity going on here that we don't know, right? So just like that fairy says, like, well, there's an affinity. They can't just appear to anyone, right? So some people think, oh, hey, why can't the Buddhas or whoever heaven just manifest some great miracles for everyone to see, then everyone will believe. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, right? People don't necessarily believe when they see a miracle, or maybe they do, but it's short-lived, right? After a while, then it's back to back to the usual. So that's not how the way heaven works, right? So we shouldn't expect that kind of thing. All right. Okay. Okay. So on Christmas Eve, right, the temple, they had a Tao receiving ceremony. So a lot of people came to the temple, and she was very happy, right? After the ceremony, right, a few of the seniors in the temple accompanied her to sing for singing and dancing, right? And then I guess the next day, right, they had a Tao seminar, or what we call a Dharma class, okay? And she was so tired because she was up so late, right? So the Tao seminar is held at the Puti Temple for 2 days. That was, yeah, okay. And then so she sat in the back of the room with Transmitter Wang. So during the seminar, no one knows that she's a foreigner, and Transmitter Wang, was translating the classes for her. Okay. But she felt very sleepy, right? And she really, very hard to stay awake, so she couldn't really listen anymore. But then at last, at that time, right, the holy teacher kind of channeled, okay? And so transmitter Huang then told her, says, teacher is here. And she opened her eyes and says, oh, she saw this little girl speaking. And said, oh, that one. It's just a little girl performing, right? Okay, so I think a lot of people probably their first time in seeing the channeling, that's what they think. I mean, it's just because that's all they see, right? It's just this girl, and maybe they're just performing, putting on an act. Okay, so she kept kind of went back to her sleep, I guess, because she didn't believe what she was seeing there. It says, and then I guess at the end of towards the end of the visitation by Holy Teacher says, I'm now going to ask someone to stand up and speak. Right, this person's name is very long, and the last word is Dai. Well, I guess in the Chinese, I guess that's how they transliterate her name, Imelda, right? Dai. Okay, so she is sitting at the back and comes from a place that is far away. So when she heard this, then she was very nervous but very surprised as well. It's like, oh wow, this isn't an act by a little girl. It must be the Buddha, right? Because only the girl didn't know who she was, right? So only the Buddha would know. So the holy teacher then, kindly encouraged her with a message which has some deep meanings. Okay, so I guess this is the message here. It says, although this affinity comes from a long way back, wish your sincere heart will cherish hereafter, no matter if it is bumpy or rough or it is in the same direction or going against. Use your own confidence and never be dispirited. Affirm your own dreams and ambition. Start taking your steps and march forward courageously. Believe the ultimate success belongs to you. Although there is limitation in life, hard to accomplish wishes, but as long as my disciple believes, Holy Teacher is going to support you all the way. Understand and believe the truth, and the direction of your target should be paradise heaven or absolute heaven. Okay, so what it says, right? So as long as, right? So Holy Teacher says, as long as my disciple believes, right, or has that faith, then Holy Teacher is going to support her, right? So this kind of goes back to the beginning when we were talking about, right? If your heart is true, if your mind is true, then everything is true. So depending on what is it, our state of mind, or whether we have that faith, that belief, that faith, that sincerity, if it's there, then things can be true. Okay, so in this case, Holy Teacher will be there with us. So she was, after hearing this, she was very touched. Then that she decided to, come for the second day of the class, the seminar. And she was feeling very energetic. So after the 2-day Tao seminar had finished, there are many, and then she had many, I guess, visits by angels who came to play with her while she was sleeping. Right? They all congratulated her, and then she also saw that they had an aureole around their head, like a halo. Okay. And they said to her, congratulations, you have finished your 2-day Tao seminar. Now you can wear these clothes. Unfortunately, she started crying when she saw the clothes, because it was basically the dress for a nun's outfit. Okay. And so, she didn't want to wear it because, well, that would mean that she couldn't get married, right? So when the angels saw her crying, they also start crying and asked, why not? And so she said, I don't want to be a nun, right? I can propagate Tao, I can cultivate Tao and propagate Tao, but don't ask me to wear these clothes, right? So, but anyway, so yeah, so I guess she didn't want to wear those clothes, and then so the angels then said or taught her to say, keep your mind at peace. Okay, so and she asked the angel, how come you can fly? Why can't I fly? The angel says, you're too heavy. So anyway, so that's so then she kind of basically the angels would kind of visit her from time to time, and so she kind of wishes that she could be an angel like them one day. All right. Okay. So so the following year, because that was all that happened in 1994. The following year, June in 1995, right, a fairy came to visit her again and encouraged her. She also urged, right, kind of told her, there are many tests during cultivating and propagating Tao, and now the tests have started. No matter how many tests you're going to get from now on, you have to confront them staunchly and with bravery. Put down all the worries and anger in your heart and never fall back. Also, don't worry too much. Ji, the transmitter, will always support you and guide you towards the path of strength. Good luck to you. Okay. So later on, as expected, there were many tests and difficulties during cultivating and propagating Tao. So basically, when she wants to move back to her home country, the Philippines, after finishing her job in Taiwan, or when she did move back, she moved back, and then she was faced with her mother passing away, and also then her father, I guess, got married again. Then, her brothers and sisters all got married, and then so she kind of became very lonely. Although, she knew that Tao is very good, but after all these changes in the family, she was very depressed and dispirited. Right, so she also kind of stopped contacting Transmitter Huang during those years. So she was still very stubborn, and and so Transmitter Huang also seemed to want to give up on her. Now, after seeing her brothers and sisters all have their own family, she also wanted to get married and have her own family. With in terms of learning and propagating Tao, she it was kind of like fading away. I mean, it's like she was kind of removed from that. Now, even though she really wanted to get married, she felt that there was a force that was trying to stop her from getting married, right? So on the night of in May 15th, 2002, right, her twin sister came to see her again while she was sleeping, and she said, I really want to receive the Tao. After I receive Tao, I can enter the door of paradise heaven, or absolute heaven. I am now waiting for you to accumulate some merits and virtues so I can benefit from it, and then I would be able to receive the Tao. Put good effort into learning, cultivating, and propagating Tao, and keep cultivating and propagating Tao. Then you can help me and let me receive Tao so that I can go to the paradise or absolute heaven. Okay. So yeah, because her sister obviously did not receive the Tao, but she has merits, and she's obviously in what we would call the celestial heaven. Okay, you can say she's like a deva, or maybe she's like an angel there, but she still needs to receive the Tao to enter into the absolute heaven, okay, or paradise heaven. But she can't do that by herself because she's no longer in this human world, right? Only people in the human world can receive the Tao, but she can depend. So she has to depend on her sister or other family members. But I guess only her twin sister, has received the Tao. So she would have to rely on her to help her, right? So after her sister talked to her, then Transmitter Wang then unexpectedly called, right? And she told her that, due to the kindness of there's another transmitting master Zhuang, basically he's letting her Imelda to go to Nepal to learn. Transmitter Zhuang is letting the transmitter Wang go to Nepal to learn the Tao and propagate the Tao, and asked Imelda if she was also willing to come along. In order to fulfill the wish of receiving Tao for her sister, right? So therefore she also went. So Imelda also went to Nepal with transmitter Wang to help propagate the Tao there. And so while learning the Tao for 2 years in Nepal, right, she was thoroughly awakened from the confused world, right, from this world that we're in. She sincerely thanks the grace of the grand predecessor, the grand predecessor and their predecessor, Chenan, right, and also the senior transmitting master Zhuang, right? If they didn't sacrifice or dedicate themselves and made sacrifice to the Tao, she would not have had this opportunity to cultivate and propagate Tao. Actually, as an aside, I just realized after kind of going through this story again, I realized that this transmitter Wang is the transmitter Wang that we've heard about. Some of us have heard about. Who kind of pioneered Tao in Nepal, right? There are many stories about her. I think she wrote a book too. But there's lots of, you can say there's a lot of testimony from her, and also the people who are helping her in propagating the Tao in Nepal as well. So that's okay. So now, not only can she accomplish her vow, right? She also takes the vow. She officially takes the vow to become a vegetarian. Okay. So she's going to devote herself to God. She's going to make her best effort in cultivating and propagating Tao. Then now she's also thinking about, all she thinks about is, to cultivate and propagate Tao in her limited lifetime, right? And she also wishes one day that she can earnestly request the kindness of the predecessor to help her sister to receive Tao and go to paradise, paradise, absolute heaven. In this case, I guess it would be what we call to be able to uplift her sister. I don't know if that happened, but anyways, okay. So she sincerely thanks Heaven's mercy and Holy Teacher's virtues, right? So she faithfully reminds everyone here that this path is absolutely true, right? The Holy Teacher's mandate, the Heaven's mandate is also true. Right. And then so that kind of is her story, kind of long. But yeah, this is not the usual type of testimony that we would have. I mean, most of us would not have any, this is like very special. Okay. But okay. Let's see. All right. So what should we do? Okay. So there's I guess maybe two aspects. All right. So what we need to actively do, right? We have to recognize and understand the truth and practice sincerely. Okay, so now again, this saying that this true or false really depends on our heart and mind, right? So in this instance, what we're talking about is, you can say, the intent, right? The intent. It's not, again, it's not to say that, oh, if I don't believe something, then it's not true, right? It's not true. It's only, this is really talking about the intent, okay? And so just like the holy teacher was saying to Imelda, right? So as long as you believe, right? Believe in this Tao, believe in the path, this way, and sincerely cultivate and all that, then holy teacher will definitely help, right? so that's what makes it true, right? If we don't have that sincerity, we don't have the intent, we just kind of not really into, we maybe we just half believe or don't really believe, but we're just kind of going through the motions, then we can't really get that help from the Buddhas or heaven. See, this is, we talk about in the Tao, getting that response, okay, getting that response, gan ing, okay, so it's like when we, and how we get that response is in the heart and mind, okay, whether it's true. If our heart and mind is true, then we can get that response from heaven, right? If it's false, there is no response from heaven. It could, potentially we get a response from something else, which is the negative side, okay? So like from asuras or the demons, so that wouldn't be good, especially for cultivators. So definitely we have to have that true heart and mind, okay? That sincere, have that sincerity, have that faith, right? And also realize also that everything is relative, right? There are relative truths and falsehoods in this world, right? The only thing that is absolutely true is the Tao, art, and the principles, and also heaven's mandate. Okay, so those three things are always true. Everything else in this world remember, everything's kind of relative, right? So we have to make sure we understand that what we're looking at or what we're, considering, whether it's something that's relative, a relative truth, or if it's actually the real truth, right? Okay, so now we have to practice sincerely with all our, effort. So we have to do our best in the Tao of humanity, right? To achieve the Tao of heaven, we have to cultivate and practice the Tao of humanity, because we are humans, we are living in this world among people, and we have to, interact with people. So therefore, like these 8 virtues that we talk about: filial piety, brotherhood, loyalty, trust, propriety, righteousness, integrity, sense of shame. We have to kind of nurture these virtues, manifest these virtues. And of course, always be kind, amiable, and harmonious with others, right? So just like in the example where, someone shouts abuses at us, but we can take it, right? We take it, and we are still kind and harmonious. We don't try to argue back or shout back abuses at them, because that's, try to fight fire with fire doesn't work, right? You fight fire with water, right? Water is very, right, soft, harmonious, so it can take it, right? So that's the idea. That's the same with cultivation. And if we want to achieve Buddhahood, we want to become enlightened, that's the only way. There is no other way. Okay. So you can say that that's part of the principle, and that principle never changes. Okay. So it's always true. Right. In terms of what not to do, right? Don't be attached to forms. We have to distinguish what's right from wrong or true from false. Unfortunately, because now there are many trials, many tests during this time, and this, especially, they will be wisdom tests, right? Testing our wisdom. And so we have to be very careful. So we have to make sure that we have that wisdom to be able to distinguish what's true, what's not, what's right, what's wrong. Okay. Because there could be many, I mean, if we are still attached to forms and we see a manifestation, if we see some so-called miracle and we believe it, it may not be true. All right. So we can be fooled. But if we believe it, we think it's real, we're going to go down that path. It's going to be the wrong path. And so we have to be very careful. So how do we get this wisdom? Of course, we have to let go. We have to be able to, especially letting go of our ego, right? That sense of self, our attachments, our desires, all these things that we talk about in cultivation. The more we can do that, clear our mind, not get, think too much, practice, do all those practices, and also, being able to accept abuses, things like that, and be able to tolerate and forgive and forget, right? These are all the things that help us nurture or bring out that wisdom within us, okay? And so the more, it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like it's kind of a catch-22 type of thing, but what we have to practice, okay? Although the practice is maybe difficult at first, that's why, how do we get started? We have to have that force of will to push us to get over that initial bump, that initial, hurdle to get going. Once we get going, then it becomes easier, all right, in the practice. All right, so that's all I can say. I mean, I can't, there's no other way, really. So again, we have to have that will to be able to push ourselves when things get difficult. We don't give up, all right? So the other thing is we must not practice the way of human sentiments, right? The human sentiments, basically, well, in Chinese we say 人情道. So it's like, oh yeah, this person's nice to me, they're good to me, maybe they flatter me, whatever. So I'm going to be, I'm going to follow them, right? So that's wrong. Okay, so we can't do that. That's not the Tao. Okay, so remember that the Tao of humanity is not talking about human sentiment, all right? Or divination, fortune telling, meditation, or those four, what do we call those, four heterodox practices, right? That those are, they aren't the true Tao practice, all right? So again, we can become attached, we can be misled by those going the wrong direction. I mean, they might help us in limited ways, but it would be wrong to then go in, fully accept it as that is it, that's the way. We can't do that, so we should avoid these things. Holy Teachers says, right, let go of the burdens and raise our aspiration, right? The burdens talking about are of the false material and the mundane life, okay? So the things that, that's the things that most people pursue in this life, okay? These are the things that become burdens to us as cultivators, right? If we want to transcend this life, then we have to let go of these things in this life, okay? These material, this mundane life, right? I mean, the more if we are still so attached to the things in this life, then how can we transcend this life, right? It doesn't work, okay? Because we're going to start creating, we have attachments, creating more karma in this world, and that will just keep coming back. All right. So ultimately we have to let go of these things, right? And our aspiration is for that eternal life, right? So that's to transcend, and that is really what we should all be striving for. And we can do it in this one lifetime. We just really, we have to put in the effort, all right, to do it. But we can achieve. And there are many examples of, the seniors, predecessors, all who have achieved, right? Okay. So we should be grateful and appreciate heaven's grace and holy teachers and the master's virtues. Of course, without the holy teachers and all the masters, we would not have the opportunity to receive the Tao. We would not have the opportunity to be able to cultivate and ultimately, be able to transcend. The mercy and compassion, guidance, and nurturing of Lao Chenin, the grand predecessor, and Chenin, our predecessors. Okay, so and they are very good role models for us to follow, to learn from, and to follow in our practice. Right, the merciful revelations of Buddhas and saints. Although today we have very limited opportunity, I guess, to see these revelations, to experience these revelations, like during the Dharma class, the channeling. We don't have that anymore. It only happens once in a special class. But who knows, in in the next few years, we may not even have that at all. So ultimately, but still, of course, they're what we call their revelations or their scriptures are left behind, and so they are printed and in books, so we can still study and learn from them, even though we don't get to experience it directly ourselves with their visitations. But at least their guidance to us is still there, okay, for us to learn from. And also, we should be grateful, appreciate the guidance and encouragement from everyone, okay, who's cultivating in temple, kind of helping each other out. Everyone, no one's perfect. We all need some help, and we can all help each other, okay. And then, of course, so we should know. So this is kind of go back to the I guess maybe it's the previous topic, or to know, to cultivate, and fulfill our destiny. This is our ultimate destiny. Our destiny, well, the destiny of the eternal life, right? The destiny that we are here for, really, for the Tao. All right, so we should definitely continue to learn, to cultivate, and practice, and do our best. And ultimately, hopefully, we experience the truth of Tao, the principle, and heaven's mandate, just like the two testimonies that you've heard about in this class. There's having that personal experience increases one's faith and sincerity. So, but like I said, not everyone is going to be like the pastor who has that kind of dream that tells them, oh, this is the meaning. This is the way to heaven. Okay, most of us don't get that kind of dream. Or like Imelda, where it's even more. She not just dreamed, but she actually, when she's awake, she's communicating, talking with her sister, deceased sister. So, I mean, those are very special affinities that they have. That for most of us, it's not going to be like that. We probably won't have any dreams even. But the more that well, first of all, okay, I can't say enough that we have to be sincere, right? We have to have that faith, and the more that we cultivate, the more that we practice, and propagating the Tao, the more that we will have some experiences, okay, and those experiences will become our own testimonies, right, to this Tao. So basically, all right. So I also wanted to share then a couple other testimonies, I guess, maybe. So in talking about my mother, she was also a transmitting master, okay, and she passed away in 2003, okay, in August. Now, as a transmitting master, every transmitting master, when they take the vow, become a transmitting master, they receive this book. I guess it's called a Liban, which is, I guess, what is it, a book of ceremony or book of propriety, but it has the proprieties or for the transmitters when they have to like conduct the invocation, things like that. Okay, and they're supposed to return that. It's supposed to be returned, okay, when they no longer need it and basically they leave, okay, this world. Now, okay, so my mother, she had cancer. She was sick, okay. She had cancer the year before she passed, and but anyways, when she did pass, she never told anyone. I mean, at that time I didn't know about this book. Okay, I didn't know that transmitters had this book, whatever. But she never told anyone, where she put it, whatever. So she hid it. Okay, she hid it, and some other transmitters, they came looking for it, and they couldn't find it. And so a year later, right, in 2004, when our temple, Happy Buddha Precious Temple, was the dedication ceremony just the day before, and then or that day maybe, that we had this channeling special affinity. Sorry, I guess we call it a reunion affinity with transmitter Yi. Okay, my mom, and during that, it was a stand writing, and that's when, so we found out then that she had a title, right? She's the immortal of, I don't know the translation, immortal of purification, or something like that, right? 净化大仙. But she then, one of the first things that she mentioned was that, she knows that people are looking for that book, okay? And so she also said she described exactly where it was, where she put it, right? She put it in, I think it was a manila envelope. It was inside this other folder which had like some picture on it, on the bookcase, right? And so then when we went to go look for it, that was exactly where it was. All right. So this is that, that if you didn't believe in the Tao, then, but you would have to believe it. I mean, there's only she would know where it was. Okay. So that would have to, that would be a testimony to, the Tao is true. I mean, that everything is true. That, we have this true self, this, maybe we call it a soul, but true self that lives on, the spirit. And this channeling, that's all true. Okay. So that's another testimony. Now, I can also relate some testimony from my own experience, although it's not as, fancy as these other ones. But basically, we sometimes we wonder, it's like Holy Teacher, right? We see Holy Teacher during Dharma class when it's channeling. But when Holy Teacher, where is Holy Teacher, when he's not channeling, right? And a lot of people actually have some experiences with this where, it's like, they were doing something or whatever, something. And then during the Dharma class, then Holy Teacher mentions that, hey, says something about that the fact that, you were at home, whatever. Okay, so that Holy Teacher knows, right, what we were doing, even though we don't see him, but he's everywhere. Okay, so anyways, there's Excuse me. So this one time, I think in 2006, yeah, I think it's the end of 2006. Basically, okay, at that time, yeah, there was a little thing about, we needed some money for the temple, right? So this is 2 years after the temple was dedicated. Now, there's some issue. We needed, money for the temple. And, one day I just had this thought in my mind. I was like, yeah, I'm willing, I'm willing to give my whatever money I have, right? I think I was thinking I'd give it to Holy Teacher, right? Let Holy Teacher decide how it should be used. Okay, that was what went on in my mind. And then, so that year, that 2006, at the end of 2006, we had to go, the senior transmitter and I went to Taiwan to Tongigong, our main temple there, to kind of, I guess, deal with this issue, okay? And so Holy Teacher, now that day, channeled, and actually, there was a, I don't know what kind of class it was, but there were like transmitters from different temples there giving classes, but so Holy Teacher then wanted to kind of help resolve this issue with our temple, and actually started getting donations from all sorts of from all these transmitters from other temples and all that, and also me, okay. So when Holy Teacher says, how much are you willing to give? And I kind of knew in my mind that, it's due to that thought that I had. Okay, if I didn't have that thought, I don't think Holy Teacher would have asked me. I kind of felt like I let down Holy Teacher because then I had a little change of heart, so to speak. I was very hesitant to say, I'm going to give everything. So kind of the amount was reduced. Holy Teacher was very merciful and kind of suggested a smaller amount, which that was fine. Okay, but anyways, that's also one. I mean, I have other, that definitely, to me, I know, and that's just one experience, but I know Holy Teacher and all the Buddhas, they are all around. Okay. Because remember, we say the Buddha nature, right? The Buddha nature is everywhere, right? And especially for a Buddha, right? They're everywhere. There's, okay, so there's nothing that can hide from them. Right? We can't hide from them. They know everything. As long as our mind is true, as long as our heart is true, it will connect to them. It connects with them, right? So because when I had that thought, it was sincere, and therefore it connected to Holy Teacher. If it was not sincere, if it was just a passing thing, it's like, maybe I don't think Holy Teacher would have mentioned it, right? So again, that's showing that we have to be true in our heart and mind, which really means we have to be sincere as well. Okay. There was an example, for example, in 2009, basically, well, in this case, it wasn't something that I was looking for, but we actually did a road trip across the country and to I think it was like to Ohio, Iowa, and California, right, to when we having our Dharma classes. And during that road trip, I don't know what happened to my back. Had this kind of backache. It was made it difficult for me to bend my back. Then when we got to California, the Dharma class there, it was the Immortal Longevity, the Nanji Shenong who channel, and he, I guess if you've ever seen how he's when he channels, he's he's a very elderly saint or immortal, right? And he kind of walks around bent over, right, with holding a staff, and bent over. I mean, like walking like they're 90 degrees, in the back. Okay, so and so he asked two people to grab a cane and walk around. Okay, one of them was me. The other one was I think it was his brother Yang. Okay, so but anyways, now I didn't know why asked at the time I didn't understand, but says okay, so you guys walk around with the cane, keep walking around and walk with your back bent, and we did that a few times, and now he didn't say the immortal longevity never said why. Okay, never told us why, but I guess maybe well, I'm sure the immortal knew that I would know, that I would understand. Okay, so and also I guess Brother Yang. Brother Yang basically he had a problem with his legs, his knees or something, at the time, and for me it was my back. And so what I did notice after that, after walking around like that, then I suddenly realized, hey, my back doesn't hurt anymore, and I can bend my back. And so basically, it was the mercy of the immortal of longevity, of heaven, of helping me kind of fix my back problem at the time. But this obviously, it depends. Sometimes people have that kind of thing happen to them. There's some kind of affinity. But I'm definitely very grateful to the Buddhas for having done that to help me there. Yeah, let's see. I guess I'll share one more thing. Just like what Imelda was saying, right? That like roughly like 5 a.m. She get these visits, right? Yeah, that happened to me. I mean, it wasn't these visits, but this was probably I don't know. This was like more than 20 years ago. I was in California. I was working, and basically because I had attended this class. Well, I don't want to go into that story, but anyways, I kind of had this aspiration, if you will, I guess, aspiration to want to teach people about the Tao, right? So, so basically after that, I would kind of like, I don't know, around 5 a.m, I would get this. I can only describe it as kind of like a brain dump. Okay, so this rush of I don't know. I'm not saying a knowledge per se, but more like ideas in my mind. Okay, and it would be so I don't know, intense that I would wake up, and then so like at 5 to 5:30 in the morning, I'd get up and I'd get on the computer and start writing the stuff. Okay, so basically during that time, I started writing, kind of like brief articles or essays, kind of try to teach people about the Tao or Tao principles, things like that. And so those ideas every time they came to me around 5 a.m. And so that I started doing that. So that was kind of very interesting. So again, that's because I would think because I had that, I guess, a vow, or maybe it was, I don't know if it was a vow at the time, but it was definitely an aspiration that I wanted to do. Heaven is merciful, and maybe the Buddhas, you can say in Chinese we say jialing. Okay, so kind of like increase our I guess our wisdom, so to speak. Okay, so so that did help me to do that. But anyways, all right. So that's enough of the stories for now. So finally, Melda says, right, so never have any doubts and don't think it's only child's play. If you have doubt and hesitate to move forward, then you will be the biggest loser, right? Sincerely wish your journey in life is smooth and wish all the best in cultivating and propagating doubt, right? So now, maybe not everyone, right, gets these types of revelations in their dreams, such as the pastor that we heard about, or the Melda, right? Because they just happen to have this very special affinity. But as long as we sincerely and faithfully put the effort in to learn the Tao, to cultivate the Tao and propagate the Tao, right, we will have our own experiences that will strengthen our faith in the Tao. Where ultimately, we can also testify to the truth of Tao, the principles, and heaven's mandate. All right. So that said, if I had said anything wrong or not very well, I asked the Buddhists for forgiveness and also asked the transmitting masters and lecturers for their corrections. Thank you.